Your SharePoint isn't messy, it's a landfill, and you built it. The truth? Most of your collaboration spaces are mausoleums, dead projects, duplicate files, orphaned permissions, and links that point nowhere. Here's what actually happens. You search, you drown, you guess. And your guess is wrong. Here's what matters. We're stopping sprawl using what you already own in Microsoft 365. No third-party saviors, no excuses. You'll reduce inactive sites by X%, cut duplicates by Y%, and improve search precision by Z%. There's one policy that exposes your ghost sites. Coming up, governance needs a chaperone. I'll be that adult. The diagnosis, what sprawl really is. Let's stop pretending this is abstract. Sprawl is 4 things: duplicated files, abandoned sites, orphaned permissions, and stale sharing links. It's Final V7 Real Final Docs sitting next to Final V7 Real Final 2 Docs, with a cousin in OneDrive and a doppelganger in a Teams chat. It's a project hub with no posts for 9 months, no owner, and a guest who still has access because someone forgot. It's links that 404 like it's their personality. The symptoms are obvious to anyone who's ever tried to search. You open SharePoint, search for a policy, and get 17 near duplicates. One contradicts another, one is 4 years old. 3 are identical because someone copied a library for a quick win. Your average user clicks the top result and ships it. Now your process is wrong in production. Congratulations, you've industrialized confusion. Cost vectors, wasted storage is boring. Search noise is the killer. When noise rises, trust falls. People stop searching and start hoarding local copies just in case, which creates more duplicates. Compliance risk goes up because you can't prove the version used was the approved version. And Copilot, it's only as smart as your content. Feed it duplicates and rot, and it cheerfully synthesizes nonsense with impeccable grammar. Root causes are painfully mundane. Uncontrolled site creation. Anyone can click new, birthing a fresh chaos island. No life cycle. Sites are created but never retired. Vague ownership. The team owns it means no one does. Zero retention. Content enters, never leaves. And yes, your naming conventions are a joke. Project Phoenix, 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 and Phoenix 2, all equally unhelpful. Incident time, legal issues, a discovery request. Produce the current supplier vetting policy for a specific period. You provide the top search result, because of course you do, requiring 2 references. Opposing counsel presents another, same title, newer timestamp, mandating 3 references and a different cadence. Your organization just contradicted itself with its own content. Now you're explaining sprawl to a judge who doesn't care about your folder structure. Risk just went from theoretical to invoice. Metrics expose the landfill. Baseline your inactive site rate. Number of sites with no meaningful activity. Documents edited, pages modified, membership changes over the last 90 days, divided by total sites. Duplicate ratio. Use hash or metadata heuristics within libraries and across project hubs to estimate near identical copies. Search precision proxy. Measure top 10 click-through on the first result set for known queries. If people pogo click 3 items before staying, your precision is bad and your noise is high. Most people think they can fix this with a spreadsheet, a naming standard, and a motivational talk at the next all hands. The truth? You can't clean a landfill with sticky notes. You need enforcement that doesn't rely on memory or goodwill. Policies, not posters. Automation, not promises. Every day you delay, new sites are created, new duplicates are minted, and your risk curve gets steeper. Here's the operational definition you'll use. A healthy site has 2 named owners, recent activity and content under active retention or planned deletion. An unhealthy site lacks ownership, shows no activity for 90 days, and contains duplicated or unlabeled content. If that sounds harsh, good. Governance is discipline automated, not heroics improvised. Once you accept that, the conversation shifts. You stop debating culture and start instrumenting outcomes. You set thresholds, you notify owners, you log records, you archive what's dead. You reduce search noise so people find the source of truth without spelunking through 5 libraries and a Teams emoji thread. Enter actual enforcement. Enforce lifecycle, stop orphaned sites, E3 versus E5. Diagnosis without enforcement is therapy without homework. We're done venting. Now we turn on policy. Goal, cut inactive sites by X%, require real owners and move dead weight to read-only or archive automatically. You'll do it with licenses you already pay for. E3 can enforce with boring reliability. E5 and SharePoint Advanced Management make the nagging and transitions automatic. Choose, then execute. Start with ownership. Every site has 2 named owners. Not the team, named humans. They're the return address when something breaks. If one leaves, the other gets the notice. If both vanish, escalation starts. Ownership isn't ceremonial. It's accountability encoded. E3 first. You'll build a simple, ruthless rhythm with Power Automate and graph usage signals. Step 1. Gate creation. Route new site requests through a SharePoint list or Power Apps form. Collect purpose, sensitivity, expected end date, and 2 owners. Enforce naming conventions in the form DEPT proj reg code and reject duplicates. Approved, provision from a template, no blank canvases. Step 2. heartbeat checks every 90 days. A scheduled flow calls Microsoft 365 usage reports, and the graph to evaluate meaningful activity, page edits, file modifications, membership changes. Views don't count. Tourists don't keep a town alive. If a site shows no signal, owners get an attestation email. Is this still in use? Are owners correct? Does the purpose still hold? One-click responses, no answer in 14 days. Second notice, CC their manager. No answer in 30. Flip the site to internal-only sharing, post a banner on the homepage, and add it to an archive queue. That's the E3 ladder: check, notify, escalate, tighten. Step 3, archive and deletion. For sites that remain unresponsive at 180 or 270 days, move them to a manual archive process. Capture a snapshot of metadata, owners, labels, retention status, then initiate an admin-driven archive or relocation to a low-visibility hub. If retention, labels, or legal holds apply, you archive without violating policy. If they don't, schedule deletion based on label rules. Adults document, then act. Edge handling in E3 guests. Add a flow that expires guest access on inactivity. Pair it with periodic Entra access reviews if you have them. If not, remove guests tied to sites that hit read-only. When the lights are off, visitors go home. Also, track ownerless sites by querying group ownership. If either owner field is empty, require replacement before the next attestation passes. Measurement is non-negotiable. Baseline inactive site rate today. Count sites with no meaningful activity in 90 days. Divide by total. Set a 3-month target. Expect the number to spike when you start. That's not failure, that's vision. Track the monthly trend and publish it. If owners ignore prompts, shorten the window and escalate faster. If managers ignore escalations, escalate to department admins. Silence equals archive. Now E5 and SharePoint Advanced Management. Enter policy that does the nagging for you. Configure inactive site policies. Choose thresholds 90, 180, 270 days. Then let the service detect idle sites and email owners with a one-click still in use response. Ignore it, and at the next threshold, the site transitions to read-only automatically. Ignore again, and it archives to Microsoft 365 Archive. That's cold storage that stays compliant and searchable for discovery without polluting live search. Translation off the highway, still on the map. Layer inside owner attestation. Policy prompts quarterly to confirm purpose, ownership, and activity. If owners are missing, policy forces replacement. If owners don't respond, escalation triggers. The system refuses to treat silence as consent. Orphaned sites stop being a category because the platform won't allow it. External sharing, E5 gives you automated guest lifecycle. Tie inactive site state to guest expiration and access reviews. When a site goes read-only, guests lose access. When it archives, external sharing shuts off. You don't rely on remembering to remove a vendor who left a year ago. Property context matters. Stamp an expected end date at provisioning. Policies use that to tighten faster on time-bound projects. Confidential sites. When inactivity hits, read-only is immediate to reduce exfiltration risk while you verify status. Public team sites, archive sooner to lower search noise. Your lifecycle ladder, encoded. At 90 days of inactivity, owner attestation required. At 180 with no attestation, read-only. At 270, archive. At 360 with no regulatory constraints, disposition, review, and deletion per retention labels. If retention or holds exist, archive persists. Disposition follows the label, not your feelings. E3 summary, form approvals, template provisioning, 90-day checks via Power Automate, escalation to managers, manual archive queue. E5 summary, inactivity and attestation policies detect, notify, enforce read-only, and archive automatically. Guest lifecycle rights shotgun. Both require named owners, both reduce noise. One just saves you more time. Turn it on. Or enjoy paying to host a museum of abandoned ideas. Provision right, prevent sprawl at creation, E3 versus E5. Lifecycle is the bulldozer. Provisioning is the building code. If you let anyone pour concrete wherever they feel inspired, don't act shocked when the city floods. The simplest way to stop sprawl is to stop seeding it at creation. Standardize the start and you control the ending. Principle 1. No blank canvases. People draw with crayons. You give them templates, site templates plus site scripts that pre-build libraries, columns, views, default labels, navigation, and a homepage that doesn't look like a rental property. Blueprint first, furniture second, E3 path. You're going to run a request to provision pattern with boring consistency. A SharePoint list or lightweight Power Apps form collects 5 facts: business purpose, sensitivity, hub association, expected end date, and 2 named owners. Not vibes, owners. Bake the naming convention into the form logic, dept progreg code. Enforce uniqueness at the form, not via please be careful emails. Approval flows exist for a reason. Power Automate routes the request to whoever governs that hub or department. Approved? The flow creates the site with your chosen template, applies the site script, stamps the sensitivity label, sets external sharing defaults, and if relevant, creates the Microsoft team only from your sanctioned team's template. No ad hoc teams stapled to random sites. You're building a system, not a garage sale. The template itself needs teeth. Include standard libraries, documents, decisions, contracts, working copies with required metadata. Make views that actually tell people what matters. Ready for review, approved, record. Set default retention labels per library where appropriate because starting content on the right clock beats chasing it later. Add a how this site works page with the 3 rules. Don't duplicate sites. Use the libraries provided. Apply labels or auto-apply will. You want consistency across business scenarios, not one template to rule them all. Create a small catalog. Department, project, client, record center. Each has the same scaffolding. Owners, default labels, navigation, but different libraries or columns where justified. PnP provisioning earns its salary here. Capture your ideal site as a template and stamp it out perfectly every time. Save your creativity for your hobbies. Guardrails for duplication. In the request form, force selection of a hub or program, then check for existing sites using the client or project code. If one exists, link the requester there and deny the new site. This single friction point eliminates most accidental twins because the system refuses to birth siblings without a business case. Time-bound work needs timers. At provisioning, store an expected end date as a site property. Your lifecycle engine uses it to accelerate checks later. If the date passes and owners ignore attestation, the site moves to read-only faster. Deadlines that mean things. What a concept. External sharing defaults depend on scenario. Department sites, internal only by default. Client or vendor workspaces, existing guests only, or even separate external-only sites if you don't trust your average user to avoid oversharing. In E3, you harden defaults in the template and use flows to expire guest access on a schedule. Simple, effective E5 and SharePoint Advanced Management raise the walls higher. You can restrict site creation paths so people can't bypass your request flow. Enforce default sensitivity labels at creation via policy. Require owner attestation on day 1. Tie teams creation to approvals backed by policy, not just custom workflows. Translation, fewer holes, I thought I could just moments. With advanced management, you also get smarter controls tied to properties you stamp at creation. Confidential project. Policy auto-sets stricter external sharing and blocks public links. End date soon, attestation windows shrink as the project approaches closure. When the site goes inactive, read-only and archive happen automatically without your flows pretending to be a robot. Information architecture is not optional. Content types exist so you stop improvising columns every Tuesday. Define a small set, contract, decision, policy, draft, with scoped metadata, and wire them into your templates. Default labels align to those types. Contract gets 7 years and record, draft gets 30 days, then delete, which means drafts age out without a meeting, and search stops returning yesterday's half-baked thought. KPIs prove provisioning is working. Track time to provision. Request to live site in minutes, not days. Track denied duplicates. How many requests redirected to existing sites because your check found a match. Track template drift, sites missing required libraries or columns. Then run corrective flows that fix drift or flag owners. Drift falls, findability rises, your Copilot stops hallucinating 2 truths and a lie. You're probably thinking, isn't this restrictive? No, it's predictable. Predictability is how machines and organizations scale. The right thing must be the easiest thing and the only thing obviously available. If someone wants bespoke, they file an exception with an end date. Exceptions expire, standards persist. Provisioning done right prevents 70% of sprawl before it exists. Lifecycle then cleans what slips through. Together, they turn your environment from a junk drawer into a labeled cabinet. Adults label their cabinets. Control the content. Retention labels that actually work. E3 versus E5. Provisioning sets the shelves, lifecycle moves dusty boxes out. Now we decide what stays, what locks, and what vanishes on schedule. Enter retention labels, the scalpel, not the paint roller. Most of you sprayed broad retention policies across entire sites and called it governance. That's container thinking. Labels operate at the item level, override those broad policies, and create defensible outcomes. It's not just a tag, it's a contract with a timer. Start with a clean distinction because the average user muddles this daily. A retention policy targets locations and keep everything in this site for 5 years. Useful baseline. A retention label targets the document, keep the specific contract for 7 years, mark it as a record, then delete after disposition. Precedence matters. If both apply, the label wins. Which is why labels belong on the crown jewels and policies are the carpet underneath. Now, how do labels get on files without begging humans who still name things final, new? 4 reliable routes. 1. Sensitive information types. If the document contains card numbers or national IDs, auto-apply the confidential finance 7 years label. 2. Keywords and properties. If content type equals contract or title includes SOW, apply contract 7 years record. 3. Trainable classifiers in E5. You feed the system a set of real marketing plan examples. It learns the structure and labels future plans at scale. 4. Cloud attachments and shared links. When someone shares a file via Outlook or Teams, labeling can follow that activity so the governance keeps up with collaboration. Operational truths, and yes, you'll ignore them the first time. Auto-apply never labels folders or document sets, only items. Auto-apply never overwrites an existing label. Intent is preserved even if your new rule is more correct. Deployment isn't instant. Service-side processing means it can take days to light up across SharePoint. And no, your urgent email won't accelerate cloud pipelines. So you simulate first. In both E3 and E5, run auto-labeling in simulation mode, review the matches, adjust conditions, then go live. If distribution stalls, SharePoint policies sometimes nap, check status, and retry distribution. Verification isn't a vibe. Use Activity Explorer to confirm labels are applying where you expect. If your contract label touches 6 files a week in legal, either your conditions are wrong or your lawyers are naming documents like poets. Records are where labels earn their salary. Mark critical items as records and edits freeze. Deletion 2 until the clock runs out. At the end, the system executes a defensible action, delete, keep, or route to disposition review. That last step matters for regulated content. Humans review the final cut list, machines do the actual deletion. You want audit trails that say what happened, when, and why, without screenshots of someone's desktop. Event-based retention is non-negotiable for business reality. Start the clock at the event that matters. Contract end, employee exit, matter closed. You define events like contract closed, the label listens, and when the event fires, the retention period begins. That's the difference between vaguely forever and precisely until. Spoiler, regulators prefer precise. E3 versus E5. In E3, you get the core playbook, create labels, publish them, set default labels by library, and use auto-apply with sensitive info types and basic keyword property rules. It works if your templates and metadata are disciplined. In E5, you add scale and brains, trainable classifiers, advanced auto-labeling, analytics that show coverage and closer ties with other purview controls, DLP that respects labels, richer records workflows, better reporting. Translation: E3 demands rigor, E5 reduces manual babysitting. Practical build, not fantasy spreadsheets. Start with a compact file plan, 12 to 20 labels mapped to real obligations. Contracts, policies, financial statements, supplier records, employee records, marketing collateral, decisions, drafts. Each gets a period, an action, and a record flag where needed. Publish to your priority sites. In structured libraries, set a default label so content lands on the right clock by default. In messy zones, lean on conservative auto-apply. Expand when results prove accurate. Drafts are rot factories, so cut their oxygen. Create, draft, 30 days, then delete. Auto-apply to items with status equals draft or content type equals draft. Suddenly, working copies expire on purpose instead of squatting forever. Your search results stop showing yesterday's half-thought, and Copilot stops synthesizing 3 competing versions into one confident lie. You'll also impose light friction where it matters. Require a label before publish in authoritative libraries. Policies and procedures, contracts, financials. It's a single drop-down, not a hero's quest. The payoff is enormous. Records get locked and unlabeled content doesn't slip into production. Governance admins monitor and tune. Weekly review of Activity Explorer to find libraries underlabeled or overmatched. Tighten conditions. If you see false positives, broaden if coverage is thin. Quarterly, review disposition reports. What got deleted, by which label, with whose approval. The audit trail is your shield when legal asks why this went away. Metrics tie back to your promises. As draft labels delete clutter and contract policy labels lock authoritative versions, duplicate ratios fall and search precision rises. Measure labeled items over time. Deletions by label, and top result click-through for known queries. When noise declines, first click accuracy climbs. Copilot draws from cleaner sources and sounds less like a persuasive intern. Final correction for the average user. A label isn't decorative. It's policy with teeth. Apply intentionally, automate aggressively, verify continuously. Then watch the landfill stop growing and start compressing. Human rules operate the system like adults. Tools don't fail, people do. So we assign roles, remove ambiguity, and encode accountability so even the average user can't improvise their way back to chaos. Site owners first, 2 named humans per site. They approve access, keep membership clean, and answer quarterly attestation. Purpose, owners, activity, 3 clicks, not a memoir. One leaves, the other replaces them. Both vanish. Escalation, then read only, then archive. Silence is not stewardship, silence is consent to archive. Content managers curate structure and labels. They don't organize later. They apply default labels now, watch auto-apply results weekly, and fix drift. If drafts pile up, they enable the draft label or shorten retention. If search returns noise, they don't write tip sheets. They fix the library and the metadata. Findability is their job description. Governance admins configure policies, not pep talks. They tune inactivity thresholds, maintain templates, and review exceptions monthly. They enforce the building codes we already established. Creation via request, templates applied, sensitivity labels stamped, end dates captured. When someone demands bespoke, the admin asks for a business case and an expiration date. I like my way is not a business case. Ritual matters. Quarterly attestation happens on a schedule with automatic consequences. Miss the window once, read only until you confirm. Miss it twice, archive queue. You don't debate motivation, you enforce state. Owners who care, click. Owners who don't are replaced. User education gets 3 rules, not a novella. Don't duplicate sites, search first, use the approved templates, no freestyle libraries, apply labels, or let auto-apply do it, but fix none when you see it. That's it. Anything more becomes trivia. Exceptions exist, but they're documented, scoped, and temporary. File a request with justification, scope, owner, and time limit. Approved deviations expire automatically unless re-justified. Every exception is visible to admins and reportable to leadership. Sunlight prevents myth-making. Reporting keeps everyone honest. Monthly dashboards show inactive site rate, duplicate ratio, and search precision proxy. Green trends earn fewer meetings. Red trends get phone calls. Executives see risk down, cost down, findability up. Nobody needs a sermon when the chart is obvious. You might think this is heavy-handed. It's not. It's adult-handed. Systems scale when rules are explicit and consequences are automatic. The alternative is asking nicely and then acting surprised when entropy wins. Again, measure outcomes, prove it's working. You promised numbers. Deliver them with the same discipline you allegedly apply to budgets. Define XYZ in plain math. X inactive site reduction. Baseline today, sites with no meaningful activity in 90 days divided by total sites. Set a 90-day reduction target. Duplicate cut. Use a consistent heuristic, same name, similar size, close modified dates, or hashing in priority libraries to estimate near duplicates. Track reduction by quarter. Z. Search precision lift. Measure first result set click-through for representative queries. Fewer pogo clicks equals higher precision. Week 0 is your freeze frame. Pull Microsoft 365 usage and graph reports, snapshot duplicates on priority hubs, capture search analytics. Save the evidence. Without before, your after is theater. Operationalize the review loop. Monthly, plot X, Y, Z. If X stalls, tighten lifecycle. Shorten attestation windows, accelerate read-only, escalate faster. If Y won't budge, expand draft auto-delete, widen auto-apply coverage, and clamp working copies with shorter retention. If Z lags, surface authoritative libraries and templates, promote labeled records in search, archive dead sites poisoning relevance, add secondary metrics that expose human behavior. Owner response rate to attestations, time to provision from request to live site, percentage of labeled items in authoritative libraries, disposition actions executed per month. These are leading indicators. If they are healthy, the headline metrics follow. Communicate like an adult. 1-page brief, 3 deltas, 1 next action. Risk down, fewer orphaned sites, fewer external guests on idle sites, cost down, archived storage up, labeled deletions executed, findability up, first click accuracy improved. Next action, adjust thresholds or expand labels. No adjectives, just numbers and a lever to pull. Finally, lock the cadence. Quarterly governance review with owners, admins, and 1 executive sponsor. You show trends, exceptions, and a small list of policy tweaks. They approve and remove blockers. Then you implement. Governance is a control system. Measure, correct, repeat. Entropy doesn't quit. Neither should you. 1 mandate, then action. Single takeaway. Governance is discipline automated, not heroics improvised. Turn on lifecycle, standardize provisioning, enforce retention labels. Today, define XYZ and publish them monthly. If numbers don't move, tighten controls without debate. Entropy won't pause for your feelings. If this saved you time, repay the debt. Subscribe. Next, queue up the walkthroughs, lifecycle enforcement, template provisioning, and retention labeling so you can implement without guesswork. Then go start the attestation policy now.